I'm pretty confident that the matriarch is kind of a future classic. I think some people might say it's a current classic based on current events. And there's not any shortage of people, trying to figure out their own individual way to extend its patch points into modular or Urac or whatever. And I'm not remotely unique in that endeavor. At the same time, there is also, I think, a pretty common debate that I see around, this synth versus its sister synth, the grandmother, which often boils down to, oscillators and feature set, and above all, analog stereo delay versus spring reverb. Now I have a reverb that I really like in modular, the Starlab. Now I also have the Batverb in the B case too. And I have no intent on bringing those out of those cases into this one. And when I'm trying to figure out how I might cover my bases for how I approach reverb and what kind of experiences and tones I can get out of reverb across the instruments in my little stable, I didn't want to just go with like a multi-effect or a, I already have Starlab, so where else do I go from there? I don't want a second Starlab. And the delay on the matriarch is one of my favorite delays probably ever. It's extremely simple, but has so much character and depth. And it takes a sound from the synth and pushes it into the stereo field that I love and appreciate so much. And if there's one hill that I'm willing to die on in this silly little hobby of ours, it's probably that mono reverb is completely useless. So if I want to borrow from the grandmother and bring a feature that it has over into the matriarch, why would I do it mono? And at the same time, why on earth would you put a mono reverb after the matriarch's incredible stereo delay? You'd be taking, pick your metaphor, some fancy beef and microwaving it. Now the springs are kind of temperamental. The Vifacos seem to work fine. I think both of these are DIY. I got them for super cheap. Other people that have made them. I was hoping to be able to mount the tanks on the back of the Needham case, but spring tanks are supposed to face down, and when you mount them in a different orientation, the springs can rattle, and I found that these rattle almost immediately as soon as you rotate them at 90 degrees to mount them on the back. So maybe I'll make a little shelf up there or something to hold the tanks a little bit better. The other modules in here right now are just overflow from my other case. That'll kind of start to fill in and take up some space. The real first kind of dip or dent in this, though, is really satisfying. That hit of stereo spring, especially after the stereo delay of the matriarch, makes just everything extremely, I don't know, lush. Can't imagine doing it kind of any other way. I'm not sure what's next. Maybe nothing for a little bit. I think there's a lot of getting to know the instrument at each step here to figure out its gaps and identify where I want to push it. You know, some of those gaps that I feel right now as I'm playing around with it, faster clock, better arpeggiator, or sequencer maybe, not sure. I like the Morph 4 or some kind of quad blending to kind of move through the different oscillators. One of my favorite things is to pitch the second and fourth oscillator up a fifth and then throw the paraphonic switch into one of the round robin modes. So I never really know as I'm playing something whether I'm going to get the note I'm pushing or its fifth, which makes the dynamic of playing it and interacting with it a whole lot of fun. Kind of makes it a little bit more of a back and forth, kind of a tennis match, because you know every 4 notes you play, or 2 notes potentially you play, is going to be in a different spot. So how do you think about playing 2-note chords or 3-note chords to purposely throw the remainder around into a certain note? Or maybe I'll pitch all 4 of the oscillators into a different kind of octave range, and then but play the synth normally in its round robin paraphonic mode. That stuff is really delightful. So I think other ways to maybe blend those oscillators together beyond the simple mixer section, something that has some more dynamics to it, something I could animate, modulate, that'd be good. But for now, this spring reverb experiment is exactly what I hoped to be. So that's good. Till next time.